All right, welcome back. Now, having proof of one's identity is considered a fundamental right and, of course, a practical necessity for the human experience, especially within the context of digital transformation of our economy.
Well, that's the background to the Identity Day campaign, which is an ongoing call for governments around the world to, as it were, observe officially September the 16th each year as Identity Day.
And so it all started here for us in 2019 when the federal government approved recognition of September 16 as the National Identity Day, or to raise awareness in the country of the importance or significance of identification as a tool for national development and social cohesion.
Well, data from the National Identity Management Commission, NIMC, indicate that some 19 million unique identities of Nigerians have been captured in its database. Of course, we'll get an update on that from the guests we're having shortly. This, of course, if that is the case of 19 million persons who have been captured in the identity database, it means that we still have some way to go, considering country's estimated population of no fewer than 200 million. But what is NIMC doing to ensure that no Nigerian is left behind in the data capture for the National Identity Database?
All right, so on that note, I'd like to welcome you to 16.9 ID Day and to discuss Escalating National Identity Project. Let me welcome once again, it's not the first time, it's not the second time, and it won't be the last time, Engineer Aliyu Aziz, who is the Director General and Chief Executive Officer of the National Identification Management Commission, NIMC.
Good morning.
Good to see you again, DJ.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Good morning.
We also have here with us Hadiza Ali Dagabana, who is the Deputy Ambassador ID for Africa. She's also a Director, Legal, Regulatory and Compliance Services, NIMC. Good morning. Good to have you with us.
Thank you.
All right. Also part of the conversation this morning is Solomon Odole, who is Head Project Implementation Unit, ID4D. Mr. Odole, we're glad to have you this morning.
Thank you very much, sir.
All right. So we're already pressed for time. So we would have to compress again our responses. Very quickly, DG NIMC, earlier I was saying that you give us the update on the number of Nigerians we now have in the national database, identity database. We said 90 million. What numbers do you have now? And what is the prognosis?
Well, we have close to 90 million now, as you know, we grew rapidly, especially in the past 2 years. We grew rapidly, and we have centers all over. We grew our centers from about 1,000 to now more than 15,000, and also the equipment have also grown from less than 2,000 to now almost 30,000 equipment nationwide. So there's that availability and access for people to really get out and get registered.
DJ, National Identity Day is codenamed 16.9
Yes.
ID Day. I'd like you to speak to us why that name, and then what constitutes digital identity.
Yeah. Well, the United Nations SDG goals, as you know, the 16.9 that refers to identity for all by the year 2030, including birth registration. So that is where the 16.9 came in. That is the 16th September for us, and that is why we are marking it as an identity day for all. There shouldn't be any discrimination, and digital identity means that first of all, it has to be with the if we talk from the physical, you know, identity of a person is the face of the person that you see. That is your first line of identity, but in digital identity, then the face itself, and then the fingerprint come first, then the face, and also iris and other biometrics. That is what makes the person unique. Then after that, we can then have the name and other labels like address and whatever to put on that biometrics. That makes the person unique and digitally can
Compliant.
be compliant.
What is the ID Day all about? Solomon.
Yeah, just like the Director General of TMC said, the ID Day is actually a special day for us to celebrate identity and also to bring awareness to the people all over the world how valuable identity is, and that people in the world are supposed to be identified. And in Nigeria is a very important day for us, because it's a day to actually bring awareness to the whole Nigerians, the need to be identified, just as the Director General said.
Yeah, sorry, Kingsley.
Go ahead.
The DG said that it has to do with Sustainable Development Goal 16. Can you explain that to us?
Yeah, it has to do with the Sustainable Development Goal that talks about each person living in the world needs to be legally identified. And the essence of that is actually to help provide access to services, so that even the poor people who are in the rural areas, who didn't know anything about identity, also understand, and they are also identified. And it will help the government of the world to also be able to make adequate planning for the masses, for the citizens.
But why isn't it part of our priority areas? Because there are 7 priority areas, the SDG priority areas. I don't think Goal 16 is one of our priority areas for government. Or is it?
It is. It is a priority area. Because it's actually the foundation. You cannot actually talk about planning, adequate planning in the country, without identifying the people you are planning for. You want to build roads, you want to provide water, provide shelter, provide a lot of things for the people. In order to adequately provide that, you need a basis. You need the statistics. You need to identify the people who you are providing this for. So it's actually very important, and the government itself is doing everything possible, all the effort to make sure everybody is identified. We have 89. You were talking about 200 million people. So if you take the 89 or 90 away from the 200 million people, we still have a lot to cover. And we need to quickly cover that to ensure that those other people benefit from federal government interventions.
Well, thanks a lot. Hajia Hadiza, in addition to a ramp up in the number of equipment and number of centers, what have been the other drivers that have accelerated the percentage of enrollees in the last couple of years, as the DG NIPSI was saying?
Well, it's government will and support. You know, like Gigi rightly stated, the past 2 years has seen tremendous progress in what we are doing, and it's because we have that figure that was able to reach out and get all the necessary support for us. So having that government support really helped in accelerating the project. And like my 2 colleagues stated, we are about approaching 90 million now. And the 90 million that we have they are mostly people within the metropolis. So we have to reach out to the hinterland. And that is why the theme for this year's IDD celebration is traditional institutions as our partners, stakeholders in citizen mobilization. So the 110 million that we are trying to reach now are mostly in the villages, in the creeks and the rest of it. So we need the traditional institution, go back to our roots, because the people that we are trying to reach now believe and trust these institutions. So the Bales, the Meunguas, the district heads, and what have you, Those are the stakeholders we are trying to reach. And we were in Sokoto this week, and the Sultan advised us to even add religious institutions to the
Precisely.
traditional exactly,
Precisely. And
because we go to churches, we go to mosques, we trust our priests, we trust our imams. You know, they are our guidance. Traditional institution, the basic of communication is with the traditional institution.
you know, that's fantastic, because I was going to ask, most of the international observances are linked, you know, to human rights issues, and having identity and digital identity capturing has human rights implications. There are people of faith who give apocalyptic coloration to being captured digitally.
Exactly.
So, and I'm wondering how you are able to, you know, convince this class of people that, look, oh, this is not part of the fulfillment of the end times prophecies. You know. So
Yeah. Well, what we learned from other countries is that they said usually is the younger religious people will tell people, no, this is related to 666 and so on and so forth. But they said they were able to get the senior clergies to explain that no, 666 is going to be written on your forehead, but this one is not going to touch you. It is non-intrusive, therefore, and it's modern, so it has no issue. So that is what we learned. But I believe that maybe Nigerians are hired on a higher pedestal. We have not been experiencing those things in Nigeria. It's other countries that we learned that is so prevalent that, and that is the method that they said they usually get the senior clergies to explain to people that it doesn't have effect.
What do you envisage as some of the likely challenges in, if you may, mopping up registrants for the identity capture in the rural areas, considering their routines, and then the personnel that you may or may not have available to get this done? Mr. Dole?
Yeah, actually, major aim and plan is to add more enrollment centers, especially to those places, those rural areas. And then for the project supporting NIMC, we're actually using an ecosystem approach, which NIMC has already adopted before now, because it's not just NIMC getting this enrollment done, but also involving government agencies, civil society organizations, even private sector. Remember last week we were in Lagos to meet with the private sector, though we had a meeting around the data protection bill that we're working on, but we also used the opportunity to pay visit to some private firms, and the discussion actually centered around, especially for the telecommunication organization like NTA, Airtel, they have actually been able to have a lot of reach when it comes to the rural areas. So if people in the rural areas are able to get mobile phones, then it's also possible to mobilize, to get them also registered and enrolled into the national database. So it's to leverage on ecosystem methodology to reach every nooks and cranny of the country. And apart from that, there are also some other social interventions that are going on with most of the international organizations like UNICEF, like there's so many like Social Safety Net that has been able also to reach the rural area. So our major aim is to work with them along with NIMC to leverage on their the existing reach they have to actually get to most of those rural areas.
Earlier on, you talked about being able to access government social amenities. For the benefit of those who are watching now, who don't understand what digital identity, means, I'd like you to explain to us the nexus between, having a digital identity and being able to access some of these, government interventions.
Okay, let me, before I talk about some of the government interventions, let me even come down to the private sector. And I can use bank as an example. There are times banks are willing to give loans, they are willing to give credits, but The mere fact that they don't know you, sometimes they ask you, go and bring collateral. Because they believe that if you say you are living in this place today, tomorrow it's possible you pack your load in Nigeria and go in Abuja and go. So the issue is there is no trust. As per, okay, I don't know, this guy can leave from here and go to somewhere else. And because of that, they are afraid giving you credit. So if we have this database on ground that has captured you, your biometrics, anywhere you go in the world is still you. And that's why it is unique. That means you can actually be brought from Lagos using this biometric we have captured and then come to face the dance here in Abuja.
But does
So
having a digital identity preclude you from showing collateral when you're approaching a bank?
Well, it doesn't, but at least it gives the financial institution assurance.
Yeah, that trust, that confidence.
You are somebody that is known, and that is where identity management comes started. The need to have that database to give assurance for credit institutions, and even for government to know that the support they are giving, the support is reaching the targeted audience, because you can audit. If you give support using the national identification number of persons, you can audit what has gone, to who it has gone. You can always check and verify. This is verifiable.
Very quickly. I know that this is against the time schedule for us. Yes, we've done nearly, let's say, 19 million now. Increasingly, we are seeing public and private establishments requiring your ID. Your ID, that is to say your need, for instance, as a precondition. Now, if you were to look at it from the rights perspective, what can be the recourse, or what can be the temperance, if you may, for those who are not yet on the database, but could also be an incentive for them to also come on very quickly?
Yes, like I stated earlier, there has to be that political will, and there will have to be that enforcement, and it has to start from government projects and services to enforce the use of the NIN. Most of the cases where we see a large number trooping to our offices for registration is when there's a rumor somewhere that somebody is giving some support. I remember some years back in Katsina State, there was a rich man that came and was giving support, food, bicycle, motorcycle, and the rest of it. In the morning, the whole street where our office was located would be flooded with people, to the extent that when we went to Katsina, the governor said, please tell them I'm not the one giving the 50,000. Because people were trooping in their thousands to do the enrollment. So the little incentive, if there's little incentive, or when that enforcement, we are giving support. There are so many projects going on in the country whereby these supports are given. And if this project will enforce the use of the NIN, then the citizenry will see the benefit of the NIN.
Okay, I have a last question for the DG, and it's about political will, which she's mentioned.
Yes.
Really, from my personal, monitoring and observation, the Nigerians have shown great political will now, to get their registration done.
Yes.
But the issue is with the times your centers are open. Most times in some of the suburbs, the FCT, they're not open. And when they're open, the workers are rarely there. And then they charge you, enrollees are made to pay certain amount of money. I've had to intervene. I discussed with you earlier on. And these are some of the hurdles, to getting the number that you deserve. Some people just go away if you're asking.
Okay, like my colleague says, that we have political leadership, right from the Mr. President. He has given us a lot of support on this project, and also our Honorable Minister, the dynamic Minister Pantami. And he used to say that for want to participate in this 21st century, that is for the digital economy, there is need for 4 things to happen. One, you need to own a mobile phone. Second, you need a digital wallet, because if you want to see alert, then you must have somewhere that will get that alert. And thirdly, we need the broadband for the network to get connected. And lastly, you need the digital identity as the foundation that will move the whole of the digital economy. So with that support, and also making it free, that enrollment is free. And also now that we have also mobile enrollment kits, and also that our backend is always on 24/7. Therefore, with the free mobile kit, because we trust the backend, it's not like before that when you take an enrollment kit into a politician's house, there will be fears. No, we don't have any fears. Take the data that we want to take, send to the backend. We are comfortable to send back the results. So enrollment happens even at night, weekends, and at any particular time of the day. And also, we have enrollment from the diaspora, so we don't close our system. And using this mobile enrollment kits, we can go to all these nooks and crannies. Also, we can also enroll weekends. We can go to the markets.
Are there charges?
There are no charges. Absolutely, first enrollment is free. It's only when there is need for modification. That is where work needs to happen, and that is where we charge.
And those charges also are not cash payment. You have to pay through remitter. For official charges must be paid through remitter. So anybody that requested for cash, that's illegal. And our doors are open. Our Act 2 units, our website, customer service are ready to receive complaints on that.
I must thank one of your staff, who had to intervene in a particular case, and the enrollee was, attended to. Yes, so kudos.
Thank you very much.
All right. We'd like to thank you. I'm sure DG Nimsi, you are a frequent guest on Good Morning Nigeria. Some other time, one other issue we will raise, not onto this program, has to do with the harmonization of the multiplicity of data captured by different agencies, private and public.
Yes.
On that note, let's thank Hajia Hadiza Ali Dagabana, Deputy Ambassador, ID for Africa, as she said, Director, Legal, Regulatory, and Compliance Services at NIMSI. Thank you very much for being with us. Solomon Odole, Head Project Implementation Unit, ID for D. Thank you for being our guest. And last but not the least, Engineer Aliyu Aziz, Director General, CEO, NIMSI. Thank you very much for being our guest on Good Morning Nigeria today.
Thank you very much.
It's a cold morning here in the Federal Capital Territory. It's
happy
great, yes.
16.9 IDD.
Hey, that should be to NIMSI. Happy matters.
Go out there and get captured.
Enjoy your weekend. I'm
Claire Adelabu Abdul Razak. Don't forget, stand up, take action against rape and rapists. Bye-bye.
Drink for yourself. Enjoy yourself. Hey. See, your food is nice. You made me remember my mom.
This one are better teaching. The better testing. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Come on. I never seen for this area before. Really?
Yes.